Hello Donghua film lovers. Come back with me on the Donghua Storyline channel. Before that, I will remind you that this Donghua Storyline channel is a channel that discusses leaked stories from the latest Donghua films at this time. So if there is an inconsistency with the original story in the film which will air later, don't be sad, but it is possible that the story will be the same. Because what I quoted is directly from the Donghua novel. Let's support the Donghua Storyline channel by liking, comments and subscribing. Before we discuss the story, it would be better to keep your eyes away from cell phones or other devices, so that your eyes can always be healthy. Because this is just a fairy tale that I tell you. Let's imagine with Donghua Storyline. Under these circumstances, bibidong also used her full strength, attacking without neglecting defense. Just at this moment, bibidong's charge suddenly slowed, because her mental power suddenly sensed two mental fluctuations appear within range. And the two fluctuations connected with Daming and Erming. This sudden mental wave was extremely high level. Even the other four titled douluo couldn't sense it, let alone interrupt it. What was he doing? This was the thought that bibidong couldn't suppress. And her original charge also instantly halted. The next moment, she clearly saw the two great divine beasts' eyes brighten. Two spheres of yellow-green light suddenly appeared behind them, immediately spreading out in the air, just in time to block the two spider webs she launched. Using spider webs against spider webs, it was Tang San's spider web restraint. Launching the attack, Tang San also appeared at the same time. But the next moment, Tang San, Daming, and Erming disappeared simultaneously. This time, Tang San directly appeared golden blue light spreading out, covering the sky and the earth, instantly transforming the surroundings into a golden blue sea. It was the blue-silver domain's boundless nature. Daming and Erming roared at the same time, the slowing and gravity domains also simultaneously launching. Cyan and yellow light halos extended along with the blue-silver domain. Whether bibidong or the four titled douluo immediately felt like their bodies had frozen. Under Daming and Erming's full strength, their movements slowed completely. Attack! Bibidong roared. Even though she had brought 6 titled douluo, none of them had a domain. Only she herself possessed that ability. Intense purple light spread out from her, intent on using domain against domain. But, in the end, bibidong couldn't get her way. The purple light she released was blocked by a thriving vitality, and simply couldn't spread to Daming and Erming. Indeed, bibidong's domain was very strong, absolutely surpassing Tang San or the two spirit beasts. But, in 1 against 3, and moreover confronting 3 different kinds of domains, it was instantly difficult for her to avoid being suppressed. Even more when this was the Stardao Great Forest, the ideal environment for the blue-silver domain. Her domain was completely blocked. At the same time, the golden blue world lost the figures of Tang San, Daming and Erming. Bibidong's domain was called Death Domain, the innate domain of the Death Spider Emperor, with extremely powerful effects. Altogether 3 once she had reached her current cultivation. All her own attributes were amplified by 10%, all the enemy's attributes reduced by 20%, and were unable to use any stealth or teleportation abilities within its range. And at the same time caused mental deterrence. Her own mental strength boosted by 20%, the enemy's mental strength reduced by 20%. But the most terrifying effect was the extremely toxic environment. Wherever the domain reached was filled with the Death Spider Emperor's poison, extreme corrosion and diffusion, and could also lower the enemy's speed by 10%. If they were poisoned, their bodies would constantly weaken, until death. If it was used in battle, it was a catastrophic existence to common soldiers. Daming and Erming had also previously lost out because of this domain. And adding in bibidong's own formidable attack abilities, they had ended up like this. But no matter what was said, a formidable domain would still have effect within the enemy's domain. The blue-silver domain drew support from the Stardao Great Forest's countless plants to form a barrier of life, using the formidable vitality to keep away the death domain's death energy. Influenced by the slowing and gravity domains, bibidong's was enormously restricted. Daming and Erming's domains were equally powerful, and could not only influence living bodies, but also energy forms. The 3 great domains released simultaneously not only made those 4 titled douluo unable to display their actual level, but simultaneously also resisted bibidong's domain. Along with the 3rd spirit ring shining, Bibidong's second spirit. Soul-eating spider emperor's third spirit ability launched. Ring after ring, a deep green light spread out from under her feet. Absolutely don't think that this was just a third spirit ability. In fact, after first having a 9-ring spirit and then adding spirit rings to a second spirit, each spirit ring with at least 50,000 year cultivation, the strength wouldn't be a bit inferior to the first spirit's 8th spirit ability. Consequently, even though Bibidong now only had 7 spirit rings, the strength of this second spirit was stronger than the 9 rings of her first spirit. After all, even though the spirit had changed, her spirit power was still no different. A strange scene happened. Even Tang San's blue-silver domain couldn't stop that dark purple light from spreading. As it spread, the ground began to shudder violently. And one after another, half-meter diameter dark green poisonous spiders began to crawl out. These dark green poison spiders seemed a bit illusory, but they still weren't formed from energy, but rather death energy gathered together and influenced by Bibidong's spirit ability. Stardao Great Forest was a place where the strong were prey to the weak. And each day countless spirit beasts killed each other and died. Bibidong's spirit ability drew out this death energy and transformed it into these deadly poisonous spiders. The devil spiders really were too many. They were everywhere, and began to swiftly crawl out, madly rushing through the forest, looking for tracks at Tang San and the 2 great divine beasts under Bibidong's careful mental control. This was Bibidong's second spirit's 3rd spirit ability, devil spider summoning. Perhaps these devil spiders wouldn't be able to find Tang San, but it would be very easy for them to pick up the scent of Bibidong's poison on the Titan giant ape and sky blue bull serpent. Bibidong couldn't see through the blue-silver domain, but relying on these spiders she could once again target the 2 great divine beasts. And then, she absolutely wouldn't give Tang San a second chance to confuse her. Bibidong couldn't see Tang San, but Tang San saw very clearly inside the domain. Even though Bibidong used Hua domain to protect her people from the blue-silver domain's influence. But through the blue-silver domain, Tang San's mental strength was displayed to its greatest degree. Comprehensively observing these people, a frontal confrontation wasn't realistic. Tang San originally only planned to bring away Daming and Erming. Seeing the devil spiders starting to spread in all directions, Tang San gave a cold snort. Want to draw out my attack? The Sigurd's light is the nemesis of these death energy devil spiders. But if I attack, wouldn't I give you the chance to target me? You have devil spiders. Don't tell me I don't have help. Don't forget, this is the Stardao Great Forest. On the ground, blue-silver grass began to frantically grow, turning into long vines, engulfing those devil spiders like ocean waves. A couple of transformed blue-silver grass of course wasn't enough to catch these savage creatures. But if there were 10, 100, stimulated by the blue-silver emperor's imperial aura, the blue-silver grass, possessing the most powerful vitality in the Stardao Great Forest, began to counterattack. Even though the devil spiders Bibidong summoned were numerous, how could it compare to the blue-silver grass in the giant forest? The surging breath of vitality from the blue-silver grass became the nemesis of these devil spiders. And one draining golden thread after another swiftly fell on them, extracting their energy and again replenishing the 2 great divine beasts. Aided by the blue-silver emperor's binding, Daming and Erming quickly reached Tang San. They had launched their final attacks, and No didn't have much strength left, and could only leave it to Tang San. Tang San understood. Daming and Erming's gravity control and slowing domain couldn't be maintained for too long. If these 2 domains lost their effect, it was impossible for just his blue-silver domain to resist Bibidong. They had to leave as soon as possible. But the blue-silver domain required his full control to block Bibidong's line of sight. If he brought Daming and Erming away at this time, then Bibidong would definitely sense the domain weakening, and naturally wouldn't hesitate to attack. Making a prompt decision, Tang San immediately drew out Xiao Wu from the 100 treasure purse. Light flashed, and Xiao Wu's soul returned to her body. Daming, Erming, how did you end up like this? Xiao Wu saw the 2 comrades she had grown up with so miserable, and her eyes immediately reddened. And Daming and Erming couldn't help being shocked on seeing a living Xiao Wu. Stupidly speechless, Tang San spoke in a low voice. This isn't the place to talk. Xiao Wu, you're also familiar with the terrain. Quickly get him away. I'll watch your backs and stop Bibidong for a while. As long as you can get 5 li away. I'm sure I can use the blue-silver domain to block her mental power from locating you. Hurry, Xiao Wu anxiously said. Then what about you? Tang San gave a soft smile, pointing to his 8 spirit rings. Don't you believe I have the strength? I'm not the Tang San from before. Perhaps I still won't be able to beat bibidong, but I can run away from her. The Stardao Great Forest is the place that suits me the most. Don't forget that I have ways to keep her from finding me. Xiao Wu saw the confidence in Tang San's eyes, and knew that at this moment there was no room for her to hesitate. Tang San had 3 great life-saving trumps in the invincible golden body. Teleportation, as well as the vast sea barrier. It really was impossible for bibidong to keep him from leaving. Even more when he had the protection of the Sigurd Trident. Ge, remember, we are one. Saying this, Xiao Wu brought the strongly encouraged Daming and Erming to quickly move away. Daming and Erming were big, but Xiao Wu's physical toughness was also a very different thing now. One hand supporting each of them, lending them strength, greatly lowering the 2 spirit beasts' burden and making them move quickly. Tang San of course understood what Xiao Wu said before she left. She was telling him that if he died, she wouldn't survive either. They of course didn't need to worry about being unable to contact each other. Even though Xiao Wu's soul had become a lot stronger, even after returning to her body, she still couldn't move more than 10 li from Tang San. And Tang San could also at any time rely on the connection between their souls to find her. Daming and Erming left, and Tang San immediately focused, thinking to himself, bibidong, I'll play with you properly, and also take a look at just how strong you are. Isolated by the blue-silver domain screen as well as Tang San's mental strength. Bibidong of course didn't know what was happening over there. Tang San exploiting the blue-silver emperor in the forest to stop her summoned devil spiders made her furious. She roared, prepared to attack. After I cut open his domain, you attack with your full strength. Yes, the 4 title douluo weren't any less angry than bibidong. They were the powers of the Spirit Empire. More than rank 90 title douluo. Spirit masters everyone looked up to. Being toyed with by one enemy. So much that Ghost douluo had been instantly killed. This grievance might not be settled even by tearing the opponent into 10,000 pieces. The 4 rubbed their fists and wiped their palms, at the same time fully using their spirit avatars, preparing to attack at any time. All this was seen by Tang San through the weakening blue-silver domain. Want to kill me by force? Fine. I'll let you see my true strength. Drawing a deep breath, Tang San sensed the slowing and gravity domains gradually disappear, and raised the Sigurd Trident. He had already used the power of the Trident once today, but at that time he hadn't met any resistance, and it wasn't very tiring to him. Along with the Sigurd's light spraying out, the Trident brand on Tang San's forehead and the Sigurd Trident in his hand shone simultaneously. His eyes were now completely golden. The 8 spider lances on his back supported him, the Sigurd Trident pointing forward, and the largest central prong erupted with intense golden light, turning into an alarming rainbow, stabbing straight at bibidong outside the blue-silver domain. Tang San noticed that bibidong's spirit was also of the evil type. The Sigurd's light should have a restraining effect on her, drawing support on the Sigurd Trident. The divine light released was truly considered divine. The violently furious bibidong's expression changed, and the 6 spider lances behind her as well as her similarly transformed arms simultaneously gathered in front of her. 8 lance tips on the ground. Intense deep green light suddenly rising along with her first spirit ring flashing. The 8 lances rose simultaneously, and instantly, a half-moon-shaped dark green light cut straight forward, just in time to collide with the golden light released from Tang San's Sigurd Trident. With a loud explosion, the violent collision instantly put their 2 domains in disorder. Tang San's blue-silver domain degree of chaos was a bit more obvious. Within the domain, he heavily retreated 3 steps before standing firm, his face deathly pale, and couldn't help whispering, such evil energy. If what Ghost douluo had could be said to only be ghost energy shaped as a spirit, then what bibidong possessed was the energy of evil. Such an extremely pure wickedness Tang San had only felt when confronting the Slaughter King. When the Slaughter King still wasn't Tang San's great-grandfather Tang Chen, and still hadn't woken up. The evil aura bibidong emanated was even more pure than the Slaughter Kings at that time. Even more enormous, just as Tang San judged. Her spirit power really was too formidable. And even with the Seagull tridents helping to dissolve the majority of the impact, he was still forced back 3 steps. His body already injured.